Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Tabansi. I'm want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. You see how I keep getting my words twisted up because some people are saying I say my last name too fast, so it's Charles Tabansi. So I had to slow that down. But anyway, we got a show for you guys here today that I'm going to absolutely enjoy. I'm not even going to lie to you now. As you guys know, Gilbert Arenas is one of these people that we now consider members of the media in the sports media realm. He comes from the angle of being a former athlete. He also has a very popular show called Gil's Arena. Usually on this show, the main guests are Kenyon Martin, Rashard McCant, and Brandon Jennings. And they talk about a range of things. They've had some explosive arguments here and there. But a few months ago, or about 2 months ago or so, they had a discussion on their panel, and they were talking about the importance of rings or lack thereof, right? Because as you guys know, Gilbert Arenas was a very talented basketball player, all-star, great scorer, incredible scorer when he played in the NBA. So he's very talented, but he was one of these gentlemen that never won an NBA championship. And they were reacting to some comments that Robert Horry had made, who has won 7 championships. He won championships with the Rockets, he won championships with the Spurs, and he won championships with the Lakers, right? Big shot Bob, right? He hit some very, very clutch shots in the playoffs. So they were reacting to that. And basically the backstory essentially was, what would you rather have? Would you rather have the money, that comes with playing in the NBA and everything that comes with that? Or would you rather be a champion and have less money than, a guy that probably made a boatload of money, for example, like a Gilbert Arenas, who said he made about $170 million as an NBA player, versus something like that. And they got into this very, very, very heated debate, right? Very heated debate. Well, apparently what happened was Steven Jackson, who's an NBA champion, great player, who now is in the sports media realm. He has a show, All the Smoke, with him and Matt Barnes. Great podcast, one of the more serious podcasts out there, and one of the guys that really got into the business early and really started paving the way for the guys that you see coming after them. So he caught a whiff of these comments, right? And Steven Jackson, what I like about him is that he's going to tell it. He's going to tell it like it is. He's going to tell it like it is. And if you like it, it's fine. If you don't like it, it's fine. But he's going to speak his piece. So apparently he caught a whiff of what Gilbert Arenas was saying, and he did a response video to that, which I thought was very entertaining, but most importantly, very important. But before we even get to his comments, we want to play the initial exchange between Gilbert Arenas and his panel on their, when they were talking about this, to give you guys the full backstory of this. It's a little bit lengthy, but I want you guys to listen to it in its entirety. Otherwise, what Steven Jackson says in return is not really going to make any sense. So take a listen to this exchange here, and then we'll come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to that there.
James Harden, $300 million, no ring, or would you take Robert Horry, $56 million with 6 rings or 7?
Different time. You can't
Which one do you take?
That era.
Which one do you take?
I'm taking the $300 million.
I'm a winner.
Of course you know what you're gonna pick.
I'm a winner. I think James is a winner. I've been to the finals.
He is a winner.
I've been to the finals. I've been to the Western Conference Finals. I mean, it's not like
you can though, because this guy has 5 championships.
I'm not winning.
Don't even.
No, it's the options.
The salary.
Okay,
compare somebody in the
give you
same
200.
It's what you care about. It's what you care about. Do you care about winning or do you care about losing? That's what what you care about.
But here's the other question that we talked about previously.
How you losing if your ass was broke and you made $300 million?
Because it don't matter if you broke or you rich. It matters if you winning or you losing.
That's what I want in life.
You got paid. You got paid
because
that.
my talent.
Didn't win it.
So question
You
for
lost every match.
I can't lose. Do you feel like you're a winner?
I can't lose at all.
You won a
I've
national
won
championship
in competitions.
So, but if we're looking at a team who's like, well, you talk about playing with the Timberwolves, them letting Mad Dog shoot 10, 12 threes in a game, there comes a certain point where it don't matter how much of a winner you are, you can still be a winner on a team, right? Or no? Or is it based on team record?
For me, it's the culture, it's the pedigree, it's the mentality. When you're around motherfuckers who want to win and you come up short, you still got that opportunity to win when you out there on the floor. When you got a ass loser mentality, it don't matter what y'all do on the floor. Y'all gonna fucking lose. When I was playing with them, I knew we were gonna find a way to lose. We're going to find a way to lose. It wasn't no winning around
But that was the question was, do you take Robert Horry or do you take James Harden?
I said I take Robert Horry. I'm the winner. I'm going to win.
Now, you'd rather have the 7 rings over.
My mentality is not money based. It's not driven on that. It's driven on beating you, defeating you. If you are up against me, I'm going to win. It ain't about money on the line, no money on the line. I don't give a fuck what it is. If I don't win, I'm upset. But I'm trying to figure that out.
You're depending on the rest of your team to help.
Because I can tell you this.
Again?
You depend on the rest of your. So let's say you go head to head with me. You give me 50, but we beat you by 20. Do you still feel like you're a loser?
I'm a loser, 100%. I don't give a fuck. I've said it publicly. You went 5 for 5. You 20 points. I mean, how do you feel? I don't give a fuck about what. None of that. We lost. It don't matter how many points I had. We lost.
But if you wouldn't have did that, y'all would have lost by even more.
We still lose.
I understand. But
it don't matter about points and none of that. If you lose, you lost.
But is Robert Horry the winner?
What do you mean? Is he the winner?
Is he the winner?
He has 5 championships.
Okay. The fact that he has 5 championships, was it 5? Yeah, 7, right?
7.
He has 7?
He has 7.
He has 7 championships and he made $54 million, which clearly tells you he was never a main guy. He was just a dude on the
That's
team.
why I said you can't compare.
Right? So the fact that, like, Steph, his money matches his winning as the main player, right? So just because you got 5 rings and you won, you didn't win off the back.
But you're individualizing it.
You didn't win off the back of you.
You're individualizing it, though. You're individualizing it being about one thing and me. It's not about me. Robert Horry is never going to be like, I won. He's going to say, man, I was on teams that won. And I made $54 million in my career.
Yeah.
It may not be good to him, but for me, to make 54 and to win,
It's a different perspective.
You know, and you know what? I can go buy NBA rings right now on sale from players who won, but because they wasn't the best player, they was on that team, they got to sell that ring for this thing called money.
Gilbert,
I've never seen selling $300 million.
Gilbert,
I'm just
you can never imitate the feeling of winning, bro, by buying someone's ring. That's an imitation. You're like, oh, I'm gonna feel like a winner today. I'm gonna go buy a ring.
No.
You can never be this.
I know they can't either because now they're selling.
They don't want to be that.
The feeling.
They don't want to be that.
They had the feeling at first. They was popping champagne.
They don't want to be that.
When it all settled down.
When it
all settled down.
It's the same thing. Like, think about this.
When it all settled down, that ring they had wasn't as valuable as they actually.
Yes, it was.
The
Gilbert, it's
value
the
is
experience.
selling it now?
It's the experience.
Why are they selling it?
Because you can't get rid of the experience.
But why are
I
they
can
selling
sell my ring because I'm still a winner. It's just a ring.
But what are you selling it for?
I'm still a champion.
But what are you selling it for?
It don't matter.
You're selling it for the money.
It don't matter.
The money.
The fact that I won, look, the fact that I won means that I have something to sell. I got something to sell because I won.
I've never seen money being sold.
A loser it doesn't have anything to sell.
That's fair.
A loser has nothing to sell. But the story of losing.
But
I can tell you, hey, what'd you say, Netflix? I want to buy my story of how I lost in Game 7.
But
I got paid off telling the losing story.
But how's $300 million a loser?
Listen,
I changed my whole family's legacy.
If you about money, if you about money,
what you value. You can do 2 things. You can make money and you can win. Some people feel like $54 million is a great life.
Sounds great.
Great career. Mm-hmm. They value the fact that I have 7 times been on a team that nobody else can say they did this.
The game-winning shots, Gilbert. Don't devalue the 7-time All-Star.
So would you rather be Michael Jordan?
Would you rather be contributed?
Okay, but
contributed.
Would you rather be Kobe or Derek Fisher?
So you heard their exchange there. Well, apparently, about 24 hours ago, Steven Jackson looked like he was going somewhere, and something caused him to respond to some of the comments that Gilbert Arenas and these guys made. And, he did a response show. So what we want to do is we're going to quickly play what he had to say. It's only about a minute clip. And then we're going to really get into the show. So take a listen to what Steven Jackson had to say here.
Hey, what up, world? We out here in all the smoke in LA doing some epic right? And I'm tired of seeing this on Instagram, coming from basketball players, and that's why a lot of y'all losers. It's no way, if you ain't come from nothing, then you understand why people say they would rather 50 million and a championship. Because I care about being the best at what the gift God gave me. It would suck to play the game of basketball and never say you was a champion. You was never the best in the world. 50 million is enough for people who come from nothing. We know how to make that work. That 50 million is like 200 million to us. But it goes to show the people who struggled and the people who didn't struggle. Talking about, I'll take 100 million and championship. Nah, I'll take 50 million and that championship. But you're not a winner. You don't want to be the best. You just want to maintain them and just go along. Nah, that's the difference between a lot of the champions and y'all. Yeah, y'all made y'all money, but y'all wasn't the best at nothing.
So you heard what he had to say. Now let's really get into this show here. Let's get into it. You know, we produced a show a few days ago discussing Gilbert Arenas and some of his comments about NBA legend Hakeem Olajuwon. And I said that only dull light bulbs are attracted to people that, you know, Gilbert Arenas and the stuff that he says, right? And I've heard people say that, oh my God, this dude is a genius. He's so well-spoken and all of this stuff. Well, if you were listening to what he said in that clip at the very end, this genius of yours basically said, who would you rather be? Listen to this. Kobe Bryant or Derek Fisher? And he was actually looking for an answer, right? That's why I told you only slow dudes follow Gilbert Arenas and think what he says is smart. The argument is, would you rather be a champion that made some money or be a guy that made a lot of money but never won anything? In the case of Derek Fisher and Kobe Bryant, obviously Kobe Bryant was the much better player. Kobe Bryant made more money over the course of his career than Derek Fisher. The problem is, however, is that they're both champions. So the question doesn't work. It doesn't work. Because in that case, you're going to pick Kobe. But not because Kobe's a champion over Derek Fisher. Because if you're somebody that values championships, obviously you're going to go with Kobe. But in this case, we're talking about, would you rather be a champion and make, let's say, to use the example, $50 million versus making $200 million and not being a champion? That was the argument. So for him to bring up this point, that's y'all man. Some of y'all be talking about this dude is smart. I mean, that's y'all dude. Now, let me tell you why I love what Steven Jackson said, because just yesterday, we actually put up a comment. I put up a comment on our community section where I said, when will NBA players start holding themselves accountable when you have people like Gilbert Arenas trolling constantly? That's what I said. His Hakeem comments, Paul Pierce put out a tweet and said, bro, you got to cut it out with the nonsense. That's a contemporary his and a better player than him. Then, of course, you have what he had to say here, and you have Steven Jackson responding. And I think you need checks and balances within the system. It can't just be, oh, we all agree with each other. Kumbaya, kumbaya. You give me a hug, I give you a hug. You give me a kiss, I give you a kiss. No one is going to disagree with anyone. That's not enjoyable to watch. Because we just know, okay, it's buddy, and no one is really willing to take a position because I don't want to offend such and such person, which to me is boring to watch anyway, because people are going to see through it and be like, these people are not serious. So that's the one thing. To the point that they were arguing over, okay, let's use two examples. You're an NBA player. Let's say you came from an impoverished background. Let's say you didn't come from money. You get to the NBA, right? And you go on to play in the NBA, and let's say you earn $50 million. And another guy goes on to play in the NBA, and he earns $200 million. Are you telling me that if you came from nothing and you were given $50 million, you wouldn't be able to figure out your life moving forward? You wouldn't be able to turn that into generational wealth? What are you talking about right now? It just tells me you don't know how to invest your money. Period, end of story. If you listen to what Steven Jackson said, he said, you telling me, if you don't have anything and they give you $50 million, it's like having $200 million. Okay, fine. Let's say out of that $50 million, let's say they tax 50% of it. And let's say you're left with what? $25 million of that. You're telling me you can't turn $25 million into generational wealth in America? You're telling me you don't know how to turn $25 million into generational wealth in America, the land of opportunity, you can't figure out how to do that? It means you don't deserve to have the money. You don't. You don't, because it means that the minute you stop making money, you're going to find a way to finish it. Or you're just going to be penny pinching until the rest of your days. To me, I think the greatest businessman to come out of the NBA is Earvin Magic Johnson. That's my personal favorite. I think he's the best businessman to ever come out of the NBA. Some people will say it's Michael Jordan. Some people say it's LeBron. I think is Magic Johnson by an extremely wide margin, and I don't think it's close. Magic Johnson today has a net worth of about $600+ million. Do you guys know that Magic Johnson, over the course of his playing career, only earned $25 million? That's before taxes as a Laker. And Magic Johnson was able to flip his net worth from whatever it was then, less than $20 million to $600 million. Do you know all of the different business ventures he's done with Starbucks, real estate, owning teams, and all of the other things we don't know that he does? We're talking about Magic Johnson here. To me, I think that's the best businessman to ever come out of the NBA. So if you make $100 million in America, how can you not turn that into $500 million? How can't you? How can't you? There's no excuse. It just basically comes down to your learning or lack of ability to want to learn and figuring it out. But in the case of what these guys are saying, they're saying $50 million is still a lot of money, but I'd rather be a champion because we're here to win. We're here to win. That's it. Gilbert Arenas is like, nah, I'm here to get a bag, which is the reason why nobody remembers Gilbert Arenas except now for some of the stuff that he says in his 60-point game that he had against Kobe Bryant. That's it. That's his legacy. Now he's a dude that trolls on the internet, says crazy, you know what, trying to appeal to a younger audience, somebody that's 41 years old, acting like as if he's an 18-year-old. And then the moments that he had in the NBA, that's it. That's it. But ultimately, you're going to be remembered for being a winner, not how much money you have. When we're talking about the greatest 10 players in NBA history, who's talking about their money except if you're a chatty patty? Who? The dudes don't care. Dudes don't be caring how much these guys have. So if that's your claim to fame, I mean, whatever works for you. If it's good for you, it's great for me, whatever the case may be. But I'm glad that we have people finally pushing back on this nonsense because there has to be a standard in sports media when we have athletes talking sport. It can't just be anything goes. And you get to run around and say, well, I'm an athlete, so whatever I say is the truth. Nah, cut it out. People are not stupid. Cut it out. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comments and we catch you on the next show. Peace.